Hello and welcome back to Drunk Disorderly. Hey, Erin.
Hey, Dre.
Cheers to you.
To you and back to you. I mean, I would toast, but I'm getting ready to load a bong.
Whichever way you got to go. I am so excited about our guest tonight. We haven't talked to her for a while.
I know, good friend of the show, good friend of both of ours.
Absolutely. And I don't even know exactly what she's doing right now. So let's just go ahead and bring on the lovely and talented Jess Mears.
Hey.
Hi, Jess.
Hi, ladies.
We miss you, Mama.
I've missed you too, like more than you can even believe.
You are crazy busy right now.
Yes. What are you all doing?
Let's see. Well, survived a pandemic. So, I got my Fauci ouchie. So, got that thing done. And I've been spending all my free time on Clubhouse.
What are you doing on Clubhouse? Why is Clubhouse your new point of passion?
Yeah.
I could probably talk to you forever about Clubhouse. But there's a few different ways that I've enjoyed using this app. I enjoy it for networking. I enjoy it for building the liberty movement. I enjoy it for hosting conversations and bringing people together and learning and also making friends. Which one of those do you want me to start with?
Start with making friends, because that has obviously become, we were just talking about it before the show, difficult on Facebook. You think, I have a bunch of mutuals, this is probably cool, but sometimes not. So how is that around Clubhouse, and what are they censoring it all over there, or what's it like?
No. So it's like a super free speech platform. You can report people for like harassment and stuff, but for the most part, people are having open conversations about difficult subjects or just about anything. Like everything is happening on Clubhouse. And I would love to tell your audience like a little brief overview of what is Clubhouse, since it's so new.
Yeah. I really don't even know what it is. So yeah.
Okay. Are you on it yet?
No.
Okay. So Clubhouse is this kind of new disruptive social media platform, and people are calling it like party lines of the 90s. It's audio only. There's no video component. And it's like, basically, if you want to think of it as like almost like a conference where there might be some like main stage events with like some top tier speakers. And then there's like going to be like smaller events and smaller things that are happening. And then like, imagine like when you're at a conference and you're in the hallway and it's just like 5 people talking in the hallway. It's basically like that, except you never have to leave your pajamas and you can get connected with people all around the world for $0. So like some of like these like main stage events might include like Van Jones or Snoop Dogg or Lex Friedman and Brett and Eric Weinstein. And so like some like thought leader kind of people. And then in like the smaller rooms, you can just like, you can find a topic that seems interesting and just jump in and sometimes join the conversation. So like you can kind of find something that you're interested in, pop in, listen for a little bit. If you want to try to talk about the subject with people, you can raise your hand and they might invite you on the stage and then you can join the conversation. So I think of it a lot like as if you're listening to podcasts, but they're live and you can participate in them.
So it's like going to a TED Talk with audience participation.
Yeah. And then, so like things that are like TED Talky where you can learn how to like storytelling 101 or NFTs for beginners. And like, it's really big. The Bitcoin community is huge on Clubhouse. And so like the like educational, like TED Talk and inspirational kind of thing. Dane Cook is on Clubhouse and he's doing like daily motivational conversations with people where he's like telling people like, you can do it, think big, big dreams. And like, so like Dane Cook's probably one of my favorite people to follow on Clubhouse, because, you know him from like the 2000s being like in movies or his stand-up comedy, but you don't know the Dane Cook that like gets real and deep and kind of brings a tear to your eye.
Wow. No, you don't. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. Well, he looks a lot different these days if you follow him on Instagram.
So other than Clubhouse, I know you're spending a lot of time on Clubhouse, but like a lot of the people who are going to be watching us tonight, they remember you as Jess Mears, membership manager, former deputy campaign director for the Jorgensen Cohen campaign. What kind of shift has happened for you post LP employment?
Yeah, so now I'm working for Americans for Prosperity and the Stand Together Network, and I'm doing grassroots training. So I'm going to Arizona this month and training people, New Mexico, and training people and giving them kind of like the building blocks of how to be a grassroots activist. And when I started looking over the material, I saw things like how to build a community or how to network was one of the things we teach people. And I was kind of like, people need to learn how to network. Like, you're serious. Like, people need to be taught this, but turns out they do. This is something people need to learn, and I get to teach them. So I am now a teacher, and I never thought a teacher is something I would want to be in my life, but I really love it.
I kind of see you as a teacher.
I love it so much. And that's what I enjoyed on the campaign was in 2020 was teaching people how to do the things that I learned in the 2016 campaign on the Johnson Weld campaign. Cause like I learned in 2016 and I learned what to do, how to do things. I learned you put linens on tables when you're having an event. You just don't have a naked table there. You got to put a linen on it. So like I learned that stuff. And then in 2020, I got to like teach it. And I guess that's something I really love about campaigning is passing on your knowledge.
Absolutely. Well, and you have so much to pass on with all of your tenure in the
there's a lot
national and it's just amazing the body that you've already done, and you're so young.
I'm excited that you get to travel too because you love to travel. So I'm excited that you get to do that with this job.
Yeah, I'm going to go see Alex Flores this month, and we're going to go stargazing in the dark skies of Arizona. And that got to take it back to Clubhouse now because
Alex.
All right. So with Clubhouse, so you guys remember how Chrissy and I had a podcast last year?
Yeah.
Do you remember when we interviewed Joe Buckman and talked about UFOs?
That was fun.
Yeah. Like that turned me on to space back then. And then the 2020 election happened and I didn't have a lot of time to like learn more about space. But now in January, I started using Clubhouse and there's like active space conversations happening all the time. Like last night I was listening to space law and policy because I mean, eventually there's going to be more laws related to space at one point, especially when humans are up there more. And I mean, we haven't even had our first murder in space yet. So that's going to come someday. So, and then like, what happens if you're born in space? What is where is your birthplace? Outer space. Okay. Like we're going to have to address all of these things one day. And so I've been spending all this time on Clubhouse in these space conversations, talking to people like NASA's chief astronaut, Jim Green, and like learning things from him. So I've kind of gotten to be like, I feel like I'm a rocket scientist now.
Oh, I'm sure you qualify.
Yeah. So now I can't wait to go out to Arizona and look at stars and hang out with Alex and look up because where I live, I can't see the stars. Like I can see maybe 3.
Oh my God. Are you still in DC?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm still here. And I'm up for potentially moving, but also like I kind of want to stay here. So I'm trying to figure out what life wants me to do.
Hey, Ryan Jenkins is saying hi.
Oh,
I know.
Hello, Ryan.
oh, that's so.
Ryan.
Excuse me, guys.
Ryan's another
I have
powerhouse.
to cough too.
Ryan's one of those people, these young people that I am inspired by, whether he knows it or not. Now he knows it. Surprise, Ryan. He's a powerhouse of an activist. Didn't need anybody to tell him this is what you need to do. Just kind of did it. Really kind of a cool person. If you guys don't know Ryan Jenkins, you should check him out.
Taking it back to Clubhouse, Ryan Jenkins got to ask Justin Amash a question on Clubhouse, and Ryan said, like, I'm in 7th grade. And Justin, like, I mean, first of all, it was a mic drop moment for like everyone to hear Ryan's question and to hear this is coming from somebody that's currently in middle school. And he floored the whole room, including Congressman Amash too.
Wow.
He's smart, super smart, guys.
And what's exciting to me is that in the future, we are going to have people like Ryan that are going to be fixing the problems that we create.
Right. Ryan is one of the reasons that I don't just like curl up in a ball in my closet. Right. Ryan is one of those bright beams of hope.
That's so great to see. I love seeing the younger they are at convention, the happier I am to see that. You know what I mean?
We've had some younger, pretty consistently had some younger people at at our conventions. I wish those numbers would go up, right? Just that demographic is always represented, but not in the numbers that I would love to see.
Right. I'm sure a lot of that, excuse me, has a lot to do with traveling and all that. Mm-hmm. I know that one young guy, his name was John. I can't remember his last name. He came to Unconvention, and I want to say I saw him in NOLA as well. His parents are not libertarians, but they brought him out of state to Omaha to Unconvention and down to the National NOLA Convention. And he's super young. He was wearing a suit, just the cutest guy.
I went to my first national convention in 2010, and I was like 22 years old at the time. And I looked around at the room, and there was one gentleman that was like 15 or 16, but everyone else was 50 plus years old, mostly white males. And so actually the 2018 convention for me was the turning point when I saw a huge difference. I did notice in 2016, Austin Peterson recruited a large number of young people to the party, to that convention. But really it was the 2018 convention I noticed so many young people compared to before. And I didn't go to the 2021. But what was the demographics like? Who was willing to come to a convention in 2020?
2020 was pretty mixed. We had people from, well, I didn't see a whole lot of young people in the same way, right? But what I did see was a lot of people who brought their kids and had their kids with them on the business floor and walking through the convention hall. And I thought that was kind of cool, right? Because that's something I haven't seen a whole lot of before. It was a pretty mixed demographic. We had people spanning pretty much every generational age, if you counted the little babies that got toted around too, because we definitely had some Liberty babies, which was great. It wasn't bad, you know. That convention that everybody said would bankrupt the party made $40,000 in profit after costs. Probably shouldn't have made anything. 40,000 isn't a whole lot, but for that convention, it's a ton. And it had over 400 attendees. So I just in-person attendees. So I just don't, I don't think that all of that criticism, I know that all of that criticism wasn't fair. I hope that a lot of the people that offered it are willing to acknowledge that. And I hope that, you know, during our last week, our show is about getting back to normal and rejecting this term new normal, because that's new normal every day anyway. So just get back to normal, right? Find your life.
What about the people whose lives didn't change a whole lot?
Right. There are a lot of
people didn't change. Like, you're in Oklahoma and Nebraska. Like, me living on the East Coast People here took 2020 very seriously. Didn't go. There were days I went bike riding in Washington D.C. and I was the only person on the streets. It was like a ghost town. It was so eerie and weird, but also at the same time, I was kind of like, oh, the town's my own, and I kind of had a good time with it. And like I went to the monuments and they were empty. But what was it like in Nebraska and Oklahoma? Didn't people kind of keep their lives going?
For the most part, Nebraska didn't have any statewide mandates. Omaha, where I live, had some shutdowns in the beginning, but it was pretty short lived. And so I wasn't working at the time, so nothing changed for me. I continued about my week as I normally did, maskless and doing what I did whenever I felt like it. But I mean, that's difficult as things shut down. But like I said, that was pretty short lived, and now we're maskless. We're pretty much normal.
Same here. I mean, we had our governor did not issue any statewide mandates. No statewide mandates. He left it to the municipalities, which for a Republican was like props to him. Pretty good. We had some cities that put some mask mandates in place and then pulled them back. Some others that left them. My town, the town closest to me, initially instituted one and then withdrew it because citizens were arming themselves and saying, yeah, no, you don't get to tell us. And you need to back off and you need to find a better way or a different way. Finally, they did go ahead and institute some stuff in stores and some 6-foot distancing. And it went a little bit better, but we still had tons of people that were just like, screw it then we won't shop there. People shifted to Instacart, to Uber Eats, to grocery delivery services. But things like kayaking at the lake, that didn't slow down. Riding your bikes all over town, that didn't slow down. I mean, we saw municipalities try to rein people in, and we saw people just basically say, you know, fuck off. We're just not going to do it. There were some people who were adamant that we should be doing it. They get to feel that way, even if I disagree with them. What they don't get to do is impart force in my life or vice versa, right? So I think it was about finding that balance. We did see some, I don't know how it was like in your communities, but here we did have some stuff that went down. There was some animosity. A group of parents filed a class action lawsuit against the school district to force the kids back to school because they were sick of their kids not being in school. I don't know what the final disposition on that is or was or will be, but I know that it was very shortly after that we started returning to at least some in-person classes. So I think that people here found their power and found their voice on either side that you were on. And we did it without the government pushing down mandates. So for me, that was kind of a cool thing. I know to say, well, here's this cool thing from the pandemic, but it was kind of a cool thing. I think there were a lot of cool things that we got to see happening. And I think what we focus on so much is the fear. And I'd kind of like to look at the other parts of this, right? There was a whole lot of good that we saw. We saw a lot of government deregulation, which I think is badass. I mean, yeah. I can even find a silver lining for the fucking face diapers, dude. I can. Like, they fuck with facial recognition software hard.
Yeah. And like now if I'm on a plane, I'm probably going to use a mask on a plane just forever since I always seem to get sick on a plane.
I mean, you probably should have been anyway. Planes are like flying virus tubes.
Yeah.
It's like they're petri dishes. They're not like the mall.
Disinfecting them between every flight for always.
Yeah.
Well, they do, but the deal is during flight, it's recirculated air.
Yeah.
So it's not like at the mall, right, where there's this fresh, clean air coming in from outside all the time. In the plane, it's not. So anything anybody has, like the flu, any kind of cooties, somebody works at a daycare and they're on that plane, you're fucked. I'm just telling you. Like, planes you probably should have anyway.
I remember like 10 years ago, a friend was in Japan she lived there and she was taking a selfie on a bus and there was a woman with a mask behind her. And I was like, what is that woman with a mask doing? And she just explained it to me, like, if you're sick, it's customary to not spread your germs. So I was like, oh, that makes sense. But like my reaction to it was like, what are they doing? So it's kind of like, now I hope that people will think about if they're sick and when they're going out in public, not spreading the germs.
Right. Look, that always bothered me at work, right? I work restaurants and hospitality and then daycare and schools, right? And they're like, oh, don't call in.
Right.
Oh, screw you, man. If I'm sick, I'm staying home. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not looking to make other people sick.
Yeah, I definitely think it's part of American culture. Like, show up, show up, show up. Like, it doesn't matter. You RSVP'd, you're showing up. And like, that's even with like libertarian groups as well. It's like, it's all about who shows up. Well, what if you don't feel well? Like, and then you don't show up and then everyone's disappointed in you. I think that the whole, like, if you feel unwell, stay home thing needs to just continue. And I don't know how long that's going to continue because it's in our culture of like, you show up or you lose, or like, what is the quote? Like 99% of success is just showing up or something like that.
Right. Wayne Gretzky said you'll miss 100% of the shots you never take. So it's the same thing, right? You got to be there to take the shot. But I think that we were already trending this way anyway. We were already hearing from millennials and younger generations saying, listen, man, if I'm sick, I need to take care of me. Right. At the end of the day,
mental health days a decade ago.
Right. And at the end of the day, I only have me. So I need to take care of me if I'm sick. And I'm sorry if that inconveniences you. I mean, I feel like we've seen this trend for the last 15, 20 years in management anyway, from younger employees who vastly outnumber boomers. Just want to throw that out there. Who are the workforce saying, you know what, I need some remote scheduling. I need more flexible scheduling. We need a place for skateboards because I skateboard to work. We need a bike rack because I'm trying to lessen my footprint and I bike to work. We've seen this trend probably the last 20 years. I'm hoping that one good thing we can take away from this pandemic is for that to push maybe even more so over the edge, for people to just start saying, hey, wait a minute. Not only is it wrong for my government to be tyrannical, but it's wrong for my boss to be tyrannical too. So maybe we need to have a conversation when I interview that says, listen, I need more flexibility in my scheduling. I think it's okay to say that. And I think for Xers, people who are Xers and older, we never believed that it was okay to say that, right? You go into a job interview, whatever salary they offer you, you take it. Whatever their conditions are, you just take it because you got to have the job. The younger generations, they're a little bit better at boundaries, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Like, suffering isn't a virtue.
No, it's not. But ask an Xer. I mean, we were kind of convinced.
We were raised by the boomers, and that's what they told us, you know.
Well, some of us
go
were,
to college.
but you remember that. Look, Generation X was the latchkey generation. We were feral children who raised ourselves. Our parents worked. A lot of them were dinks who screwed up and had kids, right? Double income, no kids. That was dinks. That was kind of the 90s push. That's where Yuppie came from. You know, that all came out of the 90s. So it was work. And a lot of our parents did, or they were in school, or they were whatever, right? So from the time we were about 8, we were feeding ourselves, clothing ourselves, doing our own laundry, doing our own dishes, doing our own homework with nobody telling us to do the homework. What we learned was take care of yourself, take care of yourself, take care of yourself. And at the same time, that was only about things that weren't like mental health related, physical health related, because there wasn't anybody there to say, hey, you seem depressed. Maybe we should take you to a therapist, right? That's not how we dealt with shit. We got high. I don't know. That's what we did. We got high and we drank a lot. We still get high and we still drink a lot. It is what it is. Those are our coping mechanisms, right? Sex, drugs, rock and roll. That was literally it. So it's a different thing, right? Boomers were maybe a little smothered. And because of us being so alone, Gen Xers took it in 50 million different ways. Some became helicopter parents, the tiger mom, right? Some became that. Some are still pretty much solitary, We see a lot of people choosing to stay single and not having kids, or did see a lot of that in our generation. Smaller crowds, those kinds of things. We took it in all these different ways. So it's going to be interesting to see what the millennial children that Gen Xers raised, where they take it, and how they heal their brokenness from the damage that we did to them as parents. Because every generation does it. It is what it is. There's no.
I
There's
think
no like.
Lizzo must be the spirit animal of the millennial generation. What do you think,
I can see
Dre?
that. I can see that. Yeah.
Lizzo as our spirit guide.
I don't really know much about her.
Oh, okay.
I just know what she looks like pretty much, and that
she's all about self-empowerment.
Yeah. I mean, it's Lizzo, or it's who was the crier on this last season of Survivor, right? It just depends. I mean, is it Lizzo or is it Hanson? Is it I don't know. It depends on, I guess, where you guys are going to take it, right? And like with our generation, there were people who were into pop and there were people who were into Metallica, right? Those things affected us differently. We probably made different choices just because of the music we listen to. So I'm super excited to see where millennials and even younger generations take this stuff and what you guys choose to pull from situations like this pandemic.
I think a lot of the youth, they're very interested in the environment and sustaining our life here on Earth. So that's a positive. Taking care of the planet is a good thing.
And it is a huge thing and a huge flip from our generation, Dre, right? Because like Gen X was pretty much like, screw it. By then we'll be living on Mars. Like we were very space focused in the whole colonization because of the Star Wars program, right? And the whole Cold War and who's going to rule space was kind of the big thing. And NASA was big for us. NASA hasn't been big for millennials.
I might have been a slightly different Gen Xer than you. I started a recycling program at every company I worked at if they didn't already have it.
Like, you're at the back end.
Like an animal.
You're definitely at the tail end of Gen X. You know, I saw something recently about a differentiation within the millennial generation, right? That there are senior millennials. And I saw some of these senior millennials pushing back, going,
geriatric
millennials.
It rolled my eyes so hard.
But I get it, right? I get the divide within the same generation. Gen X definitely had that divide within the same generation, right? Because half of us are pre-computer and half of us are post, right? So half of us saw it happen and the other half just it was a normal thing.
Right. Like when I took keyboarding in 4th grade, it was on a computer.
Yeah, when I was in 4th grade, we didn't have keyboarding. There was one computer in the entire school.
Wow. Very different.
Very different.
I'm honestly
a generation though.
Literally.
But the same generation. I'm excited to see what happens. Where they go. I think a lot of times we get so focused and so committed to our principles and being right about them that we let it cloud how we interact, especially with younger people. Like I was talking to my youngest daughter. My youngest daughter says, "Mom," and she'll tell you she's a socialist. She's radical, right? Because I mean, she's 16, so seems pretty healthy at this point. But she says, I don't think anybody should be allowed to have automatic weapons. And I about lost my mind, right? Like we've all met. And I'm going, what did you just say in my house? Like, how dare you? Blasphemy, right? How are we supposed to defend ourselves? You have seen all these riots that are going on. How are people supposed to defend themselves from a militarized police force? And she said, no, Mom, you're not listening to me. I said, I don't think anyone should have them. Not police, not governments, not militaries, not anybody. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I can see the idealism there. And I admire that. But how do you control Syria? Who's going to stop Syria from having them if they don't have them, right? How do you do that? And she was like, okay, so maybe we eliminate the military and we replace it with the militia. And anybody who's interested in fighting can go down and train, and we can keep these weapons in like a stockpile, something, and then we only use them if we have to defend ourselves. I was like, okay, radical socialist, that's some great libertarianism you're speaking there. It was, her whole point was, when we talk about stuff as libertarians, when we talk about libertopia, we're talking endgame, right? And so when people hit us with, what about my roads? We get frustrated because why can't they just see our endgame? For her generation, for people on the young people on the left, they just want us to see their endgame too. They're endgame focused, just like we're endgame focused. And that's where unintended consequences come from. So we're not a whole lot different from them, even though we like to say that we are.
There are people out there that think that it's not if, but when they will be shot or involved in a mass shooting.
Right. They truly believe this.
Mm-hmm.
So is it a legitimate fear for them? I could see it. We just have to help them to feel empowered about it. I think that's the trick. Instead of being combative about it, it's about helping people feel empowered about it. And I don't know that matters what issue you're talking about. I think it's still the same thing. And it's easy to get frustrated when we want a world set free in our lifetime. But we're not going to get it if we don't stop getting frustrated.
And I was in one of those conversations last week, and I said to this person, listen, I have to walk away from you now. And he goes, really? Because I disagree with you? And I said, oh, fuck. You know what? You're right. I am sorry. I've had a couple drinks. This was at the bar. I said, it's just what you're saying is frustrating me, but we're never going to come to any kind of agreement, or if we don't even know what we're disagreeing about. So please go on. Tell me what you're saying, Mr. Socialist.
Right.
And I took a deep breath and another drink, and I sat down and I listened to him, and then I went about with my day.
Look, his endgame world doesn't look a whole lot different from our endgame world in a lot of ways. It is still about, in his mind, his endgame world provides the exact same thing that our endgame world provides in his mind. So it's about figuring out, okay, I can see that you don't want anybody to starve, right? I don't want anybody to starve either. Is there only one way to make sure that people don't starve? Maybe we can talk about some of these other ways. I think that's the problem. They're locked in this dichotomy of it's this or this, these false dichotomies that we see all the time. And it's about breaking through that. And that's something that I think can be really tricky, especially when we try to rush it.
I've noticed that with younger generations, like the Gen Zers, they have really moved away from bullying culture in schools. And maybe Ryan, if he's still watching, can comment to this, because I don't have a lot of young people in my life, so I don't know much about what schools are like these days. But from what I have personally gathered as a resident millennial here on this planet, is that people seem to be much more interested in being kinder and nicer to each other and more open and understanding with this younger generation. And hopefully that will result in more adults that feel like they have a place here on this planet and are less likely to kill and murder people.
Well, and I think I think that's definitely true to some extent. I think on the other side of that, another thing that I see as a huge strength for these younger generations is they're all about grace, kindness, and empathy, unless you're a bad actor. And the minute you cross that line and you become a bad actor, and it's been pointed out to you, hey, these behaviors are unacceptable, these things are hurtful. The minute they do that and it continues, then the cancel culture jumps in, right? Then it's fine. If you can't play nice, then you can't play at all, and you're shunned. And I know that sounds really cold, but I don't think that it is. I think what we're seeing from them are healthier boundaries. There's not as much co-signing for, like, how many times have we heard people say, I hate Chick-fil-A's policies, but I love the chicken.
Over and over. Yep.
Right? Gen Z doesn't play that shit.
Hey, by the way, Chick-fil-A has given a lot less money to organizations that cause harm and hurt people because of the pressure that they've faced from the public. So public pressure does work.
Public pressure does work. And I think Gen Z they have really kind of embraced that.
Yeah.
That just because we can't vote doesn't mean we don't have a voice, and we'll use our voice. We'll speak with our money.
Yeah.
And it's powerful. It's powerful.
Mm-hmm.
They're a lot better. And they don't tolerate bullying in their circles, right? They don't tolerate that stuff. If somebody is harming other people, they shut them out of that group. They just do. They keep tighter circles. They're less about social recognition, more about moral and ethical recognition. It's kind of cool.
With Clubhouse, since like it's kind of an app that brings people together from all over the world in the most random ways possible, I've been able to really break down some barriers and get to know people in other countries. So like I've made friends in India. While the COVID crisis in India had been very, very bad within the past couple months. And let's see, I've met people from all over the country and made amazing connections. And like somebody I recently met was Milton Friedman's grandson, and he invited me to his birthday party. So I'm going to his birthday party, hoping to meet somebody there that potentially I could date, because I was complaining about my dating life, and he's like, why don't you come to my birthday and you can meet people here? And so now I'm going to his birthday in July for a crazy random birthday where like, who knows what's going to happen. My life could change.
Well, and hopefully at very least you'll have a really good time and you'll meet some really cool people.
Yeah. Right? What would you do if Milton Friedman's grandson invited you to a party?
I mean, I would go. Of course I would go.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, here's the truth though. I probably wouldn't stay. I would dip out. I would show up. But after about an hour around a whole ton of people, I'm dead. I'm drained. Mm-hmm. I got to dip. And I know sometimes for my friends that sucks because people are like, hey, we're all getting together. Come hang out. And I'm like, no, really, I can't. Oh, some other time. And I know that probably feels like I'm being misleading when I say I can't, but I emotionally can't. And it's not necessarily that I have another commitment. I just can't. I need to unwind and stay down.
Like saying I gotta go and then nothing else is such a like power move.
Yep.
I can't. And that's the end of it.
Yep. I just can't. Right. Mm-hmm. But for this, I would go. Milton Friedman's grandson. Yeah. Just to be able to say, the other night I was getting drunk with Milton Friedman's grandson. Right. Just for that, you gotta go.
Get on Clubhouse. I'll introduce you to him. Maybe he'll invite you to his party so you can be there too. Yeah, but I need you guys on Clubhouse. Otherwise, I can't introduce you to these awesome people I'm meeting. And the conversations. I'm hosting the most badass conversations. So did you hear? I would like to talk a little bit about drama. Did you hear that I organized a conversation between Justin Amash and Dave Smith?
You did not. I heard something about that. I didn't know it was you.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So it happened last week, and people reached out to me and they were like, this is a bad idea. What are you doing? And I'm just like, I can't help it. These people want to talk to each other. And also it's going to be interesting. And also like, hello, let's be adults and have conversations with one another and find out where we agree and disagree and be civil. Like that's the nice thing about this planet is that you can talk to people and you can have different opinions. You can have similar opinions. You can be cordial and like, just meeting people. So we had this conversation last week with Dave Smith and Justin Amash. It was their first time getting to interact with one another. And also Spike Cohen joined the room. So it was the first time that the three people who are kind of like right now considered the front runners for the 2024 nomination were all in the same space. It was a digital space, but their voices were all connected and all had an opportunity to speak and talk. And it was a great conversation. And if you would have been on Clubhouse, you could have been part of it. So you need to download it so you don't miss the next time. Tomorrow we're going to have, okay, so tonight, 10:30 Eastern time, we're doing Jeff Hewitt talking about the governor's recall race. And I just was on the phone with people from Caitlyn Jenner's campaign and invited Caitlyn Jenner to come. So we'll see if Caitlyn comes to this. So 10:30 Eastern tonight on Clubhouse. And then tomorrow with Spike Cohen and Nick Gillespie, we're talking about ending qualified immunity and no knock raids on Clubhouse. And hundreds of people come to these conversations. And the cool thing about Clubhouse is you can join the conversation. So it's not like, to me, like podcasts are very flat where it's like certain people interact and then it's recorded, it's uploaded, you can listen to it later. But with Clubhouse, it's very much like it depends on who's moderating, who's in charge. Like you really, their philosophy is creator first. If you want to start a room and you're starting it, you're in charge of whatever's happening. Like you're the creator. It's all in your hands. So the way I like to do it though, is I like to bring people that people want to hear from, bring them to the table, and then allow the audience to interact. The thing that brings me the most joy about this Clubhouse thing that I've been doing is when someone gets the chance to share a physical space, a stage. It's a digital stage, but it's still a stage. And like with no events that have been happening forever. I mean, getting that little piece of time where you're sharing the stage with somebody that is a hero to you. Like Dave Smith has a massive following of people. And to be able to talk to Dave or ask Dave a question is something that like is really cool. I mean, like I feel something from my Clubhouse experience, and like it means a lot to me that I can help people get to meet their heroes or people that they idolize and be able to ask them a question, share that space. And you know, the conversation doesn't always have to be like question, answer. It can be a conversation that is, you know, revolving and people chime in, they chime out, they add something. So basically it's like being able to kick it with your homies, except they're all over the country. It costs $0 and you can be in your pajamas. You can be doing whatever you want and on Clubhouse and having part in these amazing conversations.
So it's perfect whether you're an introvert or an extrovert. Whether you're an exhibitionist or a voyeur, right?
Yeah.
Everything is all there for everybody.
Yeah, you can just listen. And if you are kind of like somebody who likes to lurk, like lurking is encouraged on Clubhouse. Like just going and listening to people and hearing what they're talking about. It's almost like you're at the grocery, but you stop and you hear what other people are talking about, and then it's not awkward. I mean, it's encouraging to be able to just listen. We have, you know, these two ears and one mouth. Like we listen, we talk, but you know, whatever it is that you like to do, if you like to talk, Clubhouse is the right place for you. If you just want to listen, you're totally welcome on Clubhouse. And if you want to participate, like that's where I think you get the most benefit when you participate. And then getting outside of the comfort zone and making friends in the digital space is something I've been doing for a really long time. Like Aaron and I have been digital space friends for 4 or 5 years now. And so like got this like deep, long relationship that goes way back. And I'm making even new friendships with even, oh my God, get this, non-libertarians.
What the hell you say?
Weird.
I know.
Why, Jess?
Yeah. But then I found out, I started asking them about their political leanings like 2 months into knowing them. And then I find out like they are libertarians.
And so, that's why you get along.
Yeah. But then some of them aren't, but a lot of them are.
Look, even the people that I know who aren't, and like Jess and I have a friend, Harlan, who is a self-described communist, I guess. And he would say that all the time. I don't know why I'm hanging out with a bunch of libertarians. I'm just a commie. I'm just a filthy commie. But then when we'd start talking policy, he's right on the same page with us on probably 70 to 80% of the stuff. And we're like, okay, you filthy commie, right? And we've heard it before. We've heard it a million times. Everybody's a libertarian. They just don't know it. Everybody has probably, I think, at least one or two libertarian things in their life, either issues that they're very libertarian on or personal decisions they're very libertarian on. Even the people who are clearly not libertarians, right? Even the people that society detests probably have at least one or two things that they feel, think, or believe that most of the rest of us would agree with, right? Everybody has something, even somebody who you detest. And on Clubhouse, you might not necessarily know who it is that you're talking to. It's not like
So
you can click on their pictures, right?
I opened the floodgates with Clubhouse. Like, we've been hosting rooms with Justin Amash, and then we got Spike Cohen on. So I was on Muddied Waters Media a few weeks ago. So a lot of people that follow Muddied Waters got on Clubhouse. And then so we did welcome Spike Cohen an event, and Justin Amash came to that, and then we did welcome Dave Smith, and now I'm trying to like come up with more ways that we can like raise the bar and elevate the conversation and have like amazing things happening. So like something I'm interested in doing is like a tripartisan conversation on how Congress works with Justin Amash, AOC, and a Republican, and see if I can put that together. Like that would be huge. And like to have that conversation where people can listen in from all sides and talk about like what our government is doing. I mean, like we don't really hear that argument that often, that like government doesn't work today. Right. It's not working. This whole system is not, it's not doing good for us. Mm-mm. And like, I think Republicans, Democrats, Libertarians, Independents, we can all agree on it, but they just put up a facade as if like one side knows better about how to make it work. But it's like, no, it doesn't work. It just, the whole system fails always. So if we could have that conversation with the libertarian view coming out of it, I think, you know, we all think like the libertarian side is always the right one. But you know, if that conversation were to happen, it would really showcase like government doesn't work. And that's why we're fighting to make it so much smaller. So whatever to the extent that it's operating, it's at least operating to the minimalist extent that it can. Like, so
well, the other thing too, though, Jess, is if conversations like that don't happen, yeah, we all think that the libertarian answer is the right answer. We all believe that most people would if they had a chance to hear it, but they don't get a chance to hear it. This creates that opportunity.
Yeah.
All of those people that follow AOC, all of those people that believe that Republican is the Messiah, they're going to show up. And maybe they start hearing things that may be the first time they've ever heard libertarian philosophy, that they've ever heard about libertarian principle or the non-aggression principle, right? What a huge opportunity. Preaching to the choir is really
going to host that. Right. And on Clubhouse, what's cool is like the rooms that are trending are the ones that get the most attention. Like I kind of want to do a little experiment while we're here. I'm going to go to clubhub.site. It's a tracking website that shows like the highest profiles and the most trending rooms that are happening. So let me tell you the rooms that are right now that are here's the number one room of engagement at this moment. There's over 500 people. Biden-Harris announces new actions to build Black wealth. I guess that must have happened today. I didn't hear that in the news.
I didn't hear.
Probably Joe Biden is in Tulsa today for the anniversary of the Tulsa race riot. So probably.
Yeah. And it's the 100th anniversary of the massacre.
Yep.
I noticed they kept him away from the microphones and cameras today.
I mean, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know because I was working, but I do know he's in town.
Last
Yeah.
week we
So
talked about some 9-year-old saying she looked like a 19-year-old, so I imagine they're pulling him back this week.
wow. Well, it sounds like based upon just this room title that some kind of like legislation or some kind of campaign has been announced. And I didn't know about it until I like, if I would open up Clubhouse, I would see this room is happening.
So, how do you find your friends and rooms and things of interest on Clubhouse? Do you use your name? Do you have a screen name?
Yeah, so I have a story that I'll tell you in a second, but
Okay.
I have a screen name and like when you sign up, it's going to follow your contacts that you already have. So you're going to start following people that you already know from just initial registration. So what I would recommend doing is downloading the app on your phone. It rolled out a couple weeks ago to Android users, and I think Aaron's an Android.
Me too. I just downloaded it.
So and then they're actually this is a platform that's like it's kind of new and they're working on making the experience better week after week after week and they're taking the user feedback and implementing it and making it happen. So like you what I do is I go into rooms and I'm listening to conversations and then when I hear somebody interesting, I just follow them. Or like if I'm in a small room and we're having a conversation and like it's somebody that like I have something in common with or like I want to follow up with later, like I've made like business conversations and things on Clubhouse like where it turns into like a networking opportunity. But I want to tell you about my friend Brandon.
Okay.
So I initially was like I was using Clubhouse to host conversations that had Justin Amash in them, and I would do moderating. I really like moderating on Clubhouse. It's really fun. I love it. It's like I'm a show host,
Wait,
and and so then we had this room, and once it closed down, this girl named Britt, her name's Britt Salt. She has a podcast like the Freckles and Britt Show, and they're more girls that are like on Twitter. And so she started a room and I joined that room right afterwards because actually I heard her ask Justin and Masha a question and I liked the question. So I followed her. So then a room she started showed up and I went into this room and the room was there was a dream interpreter in the room. So they
Oh,
asked me, tell us your dream. So this dream interpreter, Bethany, can interpret your dream for you. And I said, well, I don't remember my dreams, but my real dream is to become space Oprah. And they thought that was quite amusing. And this guy named Brandon, he lives in California in Fresno, and he is a musician. He can write original songs within 5 minutes. So he wrote me a song for my dream, and it's called Space Opera. It's available on Spotify. He's also made, it's available everywhere, actually. I just know how to find it on Spotify. And he's written songs for multiple other people on Clubhouse. So if anybody wants to have a song written for them, this was the first time anybody has ever written me a song that was actually like more than just a jingle that they made up. I have a song written about my dreams available on Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, whatever, all the things. But Brandon did it within 5 minutes. It's absolutely beautiful and I love it. And I also love all the other songs he's written too. They're so good. Brandon is a libertarian. He's involved with the Mises Caucus, and he's now one of my close friends that I'm going to meet at um, Milton Friedman grandson's birthday party, where Milton Friedman's grandson hired him to sing.
oh, how cool.
Clubhouse.
that's
Like,
cool.
where else does this stuff happen besides this random internet app that I'm on?
That is so cool. I'm so excited for you.
We're coming up on our time, but for everybody watching who wants to try to jump into Clubhouse, walk us through real quick. How do they do that? And then once they're there, how do they find you? How do they find your shows in your rooms and
Okay.
these conversations that you're hosting?
Cool. So what they should do is download the app, but what I'll do is I'm also going to tweet out a link so that way people can, if they want to go to my Twitter, they have to do this. They have to do this, like, look at my Twitter from tonight. Let me make sure that I can add people still, add members. Okay. I have to get an invite link that I'll tweet out. I'll tweet this out here very soon. Okay, they're going to have to join through my group Space Opera. That's the only links that I have available at the moment. But I can get 987 people onto Clubhouse right now. So if you go to my Twitter account and you look for a tweet that I just made about I'm discussing Space Opera, Big Dreams with Space Opera in August, go to that link. It looks like this. Go to this.
Okay.
And you can then bypass the wait list and get immediately onto Clubhouse. So you can come and join the events that are happening tonight and tomorrow if you want to. So that's a way to get on Clubhouse. And then if you're interested in the rooms I'm hosting them in the Libertarian Party Club that was started by Justin Amash. And there's also other places where I'm hosting conversations. I use it for like hosting conversations and then just like hanging out with my friends. And then listening to space stuff. So just get on it and just explore and have fun. It is kind of a time suck, but to me, it is so meaningful. It's been so beneficial for me. The internet browser's inventor. Have you ever heard of this man? His name is Mark Andreessen.
I believe so.
He invented the internet browser. Literally, I'm looking at you on an internet browser right now. The inventor of the internet browser is following me on Clubhouse.
How cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's hot, Mama.
So this stuff is happening, and I would love to have you guys on it, and I would love to host a room for you so you can get familiar with it.
That would be great. Absolutely. Let's chat about it in our DMs. Sometime, well, not this week. It'll be next week because I've got LNC meeting coming up this week. And so I'm going to.
You can Clubhouse while you're in LNC meetings.
I cannot. But I can Clubhouse on breaks and after the meetings and sometimes from those fundraisers. That would be fun.
Yes. Well, thank you, ladies, so much for having me. It was, first of all, amazing to catch up. I haven't been able to watch the show in a long time, so I'm so happy I got to come on, catch up with you, and I want to see you on Clubhouse. You've missed out on so much, but there's so much good stuff that's coming. And if anybody watching your show has ideas for things they want to have happen on Clubhouse, but they don't want to do it themselves, I love moderating, so I'm happy to moderate anything.
Reach out to us with those ideas, guys.
Absolutely.
Next week, we have a guest next week also, Dre, don't we?
We do. Oh my gosh, who is it? Let me pull it up right now. It is Karen Ann Harlos.
Yeah. So Karen Ann Harlos is going to be with us next week. Guys, for the next little bit, or at least, kind of buckle in because we're all about women's empowerment on D&D right now. So get ready. We're looking to bring you great female guests for a minute. Hopefully voices that either you've heard of, but you haven't heard directly from, or people maybe that you haven't heard from or heard of that you should. So that's kind of the goal coming up the next couple of weeks. Bear with us. We'll have more exciting stuff coming up. But Karen Ann Harlos next week, Jess Mears tonight. I mean, come on.
We say we know a guy. That guy might be a girl. It's just kind of an interchangeable.
Right.
And then,
guy is gender fluid.
You're really making me want to listen to some Spice Girls and spice up my life right now.
I'm all about it. I'm not embarrassed to say I like the Spice Girls. Thank you very much.
Me neither. It's all about the 90s.
Right.
Jess, thank you so much for coming on. We will have you on again soon. It's always a pleasure. Good night, everyone.
Good night.